Welcome back to Embracing the Awkward after our, 4-month hiatus. First, want to say sorry. Life can get hectic and chaotic, and it's hard to sometimes organize and get stuff figured out. So, thanks for bearing with us after our first episode and us then not doing anything for a while.
It's okay, we forgive us.
But happy to be back. We'll see how this goes. Today, our topic is guys suck, which I mean is a loaded conversation and could probably go on for several episodes, but we will try to keep it fairly short and concise. And if we get good feedback, maybe we'll come and revisit the topic sometime in the future.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Any place you want to start out?
So I don't want to be a downer, but I have a lot of negative thoughts about men.
Me too.
I guess maybe a good place to start would be what is frustrating about men in today's culture?
The answer is yes.
No.
All of it.
Hey, I was the one who was going to rag on men. You guys.
But we both can ride on it from different perspectives. Like you're a woman looking at men and going, what the frick? And I'm a guy looking at men going, you all suck. Like, what the frick? Granted, I probably also suck, but I'm biased. And obviously, I don't suck as much as other guys, right?
Yes, that's true.
I was being facetious, but thank you. Okay, so what is frustrating about men in our culture, in our society, in just America as a whole?
Why do guys suck today? 2022.
2022. So many different directions. I'm going to go twofold. One, I don't think people in my position, like younger people, younger guys, I feel like I struggle to find mentors that I look up to and go, I want to be like that. Like, that is who I want to become. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like there is a lack of good role models to look up to. But on top of that, I feel like, and again, this is very generic, very broad, very, like, there's always exceptions, but I feel like the general feel of it is we as guys are extremely selfish and we don't take responsibility for things, and we don't try to put others first. Like, we feed off of that first. I have a lot of thoughts brewing.
I think that encompasses everything that I was going to say. Selfish is a word, not that I was afraid to use, but you can say that and it's okay, and then I can repeat what you said.
Fair.
We can talk about this more in Girl Suck, but I feel that there's a lot of pressure on women to be responsible, be it as a mother, wife, girlfriend, daughter. There's a lot that weighs on your shoulders. And I think that for guys, sometimes society dismisses responsibility for them. Oh, he doesn't know how to do that. He doesn't know how to clean. He doesn't have to do that. He doesn't. That lack of knowledge means lack of responsibility.
So, as in, like, you kind of feel like there is a lower standard for the adult male than there is for the adult female.
Yes. Yes. Just put it very, very simply, yes. Females are held to a much higher standard, I think, of even from a young age. Like, little girls don't act that way. You're not acting like a lady. You have to sit pretty. You have to do this. You have to clean. You have to cook. You have to. And again, we're talking about stereotypical masculine, feminine stereotypes. We know that not everyone identifies as masculine or feminine, but that's where our podcast is going today.
I mean, you put it there, not me.
I'm just saying. I want to be all inclusive, but today is specifically about guys. You said selfish, and I don't want to be weird, but I do like that word. That one of my biggest frustrations with men is their ability to check out and just walk away from a conversation or a situation and just be like, not my problem, not my monkeys. Your mom's going to deal with it. Whoever will deal with it, to just throw their hands up and give up.
Like there's no gumption. They don't actually put the effort in to fight. Yes. For like not physically, which I mean sometimes maybe there should be a physical aspect of it if that like something really bad is happening.
We do not condone physical violence.
Depends on the situation. Very, very, very 99.9% of the time you do not have to be physical. But I would say there are a few times where like
in standing up for someone.
Yes.
Yes. Let's be clear about that.
Yeah, but no, in most cases, not choosing the easy way out instead of actually putting in the effort and doing the right thing, even though the right thing is difficult. Integrity.
You're pulling out all the words.
Right?
I like them. I don't. So there are different guys in different levels of relationship or not. Single, dating, married, etc. And do you think that has anything to do with, I don't know how to say this, do married guys or dating guys suck more or less than single guys?
They all suck.
Well,
it's just maybe easier for single guys to not have it be as obvious how much they suck, because there isn't someone who's constantly around them seeing their imperfections. Granted, we're all imperfect, but I'm overly hard on all guys. I wish men could rise up to a higher standard than what they're set at right now. Like case in point, if we look at Hollywood, I can't say 100% because maybe there's a show out there, but I feel like 90% of the time, if you watch a TV show where it's a husband and a wife, the husband is the joke of the show, and it's the wife who is the one who has it all together, who is in charge, who's running things, which good for her. Like, I'm not bashing that. Like, I want good, strong women, but at the same time, it's like, but that doesn't mean we then have to have, I'm just going to say it, a shitty husband, a shitty father. Like, they both can be doing well. Like, we don't have to have a bad example for a father then, or a husband then, or just a guy then. It's like they can also, like, why don't we have a good example in a show where he is intelligent, where he is strong, not physically, but like courageously, integrity wise, doing the hard thing. Like the shows I think of, I just always see the dad being the idiot, the butt of the jokes, the one who doesn't know how to do stuff. And I'm like, why are we setting the bar so low?
How, I don't want to sound like a counselor, but how does that make you feel?
Frustrated.
As a man, to see other men put down or humiliated, or to know like there's maybe one or two people in the whole world that I could look up to as like a masculine role model.
Well, I don't even have to say like masculine role model. Well, sorry, maybe I'm being too nitpicky with words, so sorry about that.
That's fine.
How does it make me feel that there are so few role models?
Mhm.
Frustrated. I don't know if I want to say hopeless. Um, frustrated and sad, frustrated and depressed, or like just down because I'm like, and maybe I'm again too hard on guys, but I feel like we as a whole can do so much better than what we are giving the world right now. Um, yeah, I just just a lot of hopelessness, I guess, because whenever I do try to seek out someone for a mentor, or I think I'm like starting to look up to someone, I hear something and I'm like, what the crap? Um, like, okay, two different scenarios. If you're okay with me going on a rant,
Go for it.
um, started my first relationship back in 2014, 2015. Had two really cool guys. So I, at that time, would have been like 24, 25. Had two guys in their early 30s. I'm like, these are legit guys, like married, have kids. They seem like they have like their act together. Also men of faith. So I'm like, maybe these are the guys I want to get to know, I want to grow up and learn from, and started the relationship. And I'm talking with both of them. I'm like, okay, like I want advice. Like, what can I do to make sure that this relationship's successful? What can I do to make sure I am being who I need to be for my girlfriend? And both of them, the only thing they told me was to keep my dick in my pants. And that was a huge letdown because I'm like, A, no shit. B, is that really the only advice you have for me? Like, there's nothing else that you think is going to be beneficial for our relationship, that is going to be beneficial for me or for her or for our growth. Like,
Mm.
that's the best you can give me. I'm like, what the crap is this? Fast forward, another guy who I'm like, okay, it seems like he's a good guy. Like, I can respect him and stuff like that. And I still do respect him. But I also had this like letdown because I was there and was just a part of the conversation, but he was talking about how his wife was out of town and he was going to the grocery store and his daughter was with him and she needed feminine products. Ooh, no. And so he goes to the aisle, but then is like, I can't go down that aisle. Like you go pick out your stuff. I'm gonna stay here. I can't go down that aisle. And I'm like, what the what is such a big deal? Be a man and go down there. Like, what's so hard with you walking down that aisle with your daughter and being there with her and being like, what can I do to help you? Like, do you want me to? Like, there is nothing unmasculine about walking down a feminine woman's product aisle with your daughter. I'm like, shoot, if I was married and I like my daughter texted me or my wife texted me was like, hey, pick up X, Y, or Z, I would do it in a heartbeat and wouldn't even blink an eye. Like, why is that so gross or so emasculating or so like off limits? Like, what is it in our culture as men that has us so passive? Like, I don't like, I just wish we could do better. Rant over.
That makes sense. I agree with what you said that it's sexy to make a baby, but that's where the guy's job ends in a lot of guys' minds, I think. You can put it, sorry, don't want to be crude, but you can, we'll just stick with make a baby. And then at that point, everything after, um, periods, having babies, raising children. That's the woman's job, which I feel like is a stereotype of toxic masculinity. Like, you need to drive a truck and pick your teeth and go hunting and fishing and all of the things, but cooking is woman's work. You can do those things, but there's nothing wrong with being a quote stereotypical manly man. But if that's all you are and you cannot also be a supportive boyfriend, a good husband, like if you are in a relationship, many men, I think, once they're in a relationship,
job's done. Like I succeeded.
They've won the prize. Like they crossed the finish line. You can coast from here on out. And if you stop trying, stop dating your significant other, stop being supportive, stop encouraging her, buying tampons if she needs them. Like, your relationship should be more about you being there for the other person and helping meet their needs than, oh my God, I have to maintain this image of masculinity. I can't cook because that's not manly. I can't help my wife because that's not manly. I can't do anything that's not manly because then I will be put down because people will not think I'm a man if I do anything that's not stereotypical of the masculine vibe.
Yeah. So to touch on the whole toxic masculinity thing,
I'm not saying
no. Take my words with a grain of salt because they're not going to be perfect. What guys do that fit within the toxic masculinity thing? I'm putting that in quotes since all of you can't see. If it is shooting guns, if it is hunting, if it is driving a truck, if it is working out or whatever, like none of that in and of itself is bad.
Yes.
If that is where you find joy, if that is where you find excitement or whatever, like great. But if it's your identity, if it is giving you, words are hard. It ultimately comes down to where are you finding your identity? If you're finding your identity in being this macho man, like you're missing the point. Because being a man is so much more than being strong or being like drinking whiskey and smoking a cigar. Like it's more than shooting guns. Like I would rather look at a guy who is 5'11", all 110 pounds, like not quote unquote masculine, but if he is constantly there for like his wife and kids, if he's constantly sacrificing and putting them first, if he is constantly trying to grow and better himself for the betterment of his family and society, and like that is by far more of a man than the guy who's out there drinking beers and shooting guns. It's the integrity aspect, it's the respect aspect, it's just character. And I feel like we are struggling for men of good character.
I don't think I can say it better than that. You're gonna make me cry. I want to bring up a word that you mentioned, which is respect, which I feel there is none of from men to women. And I think that is one of my biggest issues with men, that a long time ago, I was at a I can't even do words. Bible study, something like that. And there were some weird guys and awkward conversations going on. And I decided I didn't want to go back because I was not comfortable with that group of people. And someone texted me and said, "Hey, like, why we haven't seen you? Why are you gonna come back and hang out with us? We're gonna have a pool party, blah blah blah." And I said, I could go to a bar on ladies' night and be treated with more respect than I was in this group of mostly guys. And I feel like that's how society is today. That men are very brash. There is no chivalry. There are no gentlemen. There is like, hey girl, how you doing? You're hot. Let's, Um, there's no respect. And also, I'm currently in a relationship, but in the past, having been single at a bar or hanging out with friends, the fact that men will push to an uncomfortable point, like if you don't have a boyfriend, there can be no logical reason why you're not giving me your number. Like, excuse you. Like, I could say no because I'm not in the mood to talk to other humans. I could say no because I can say no. I don't need to give you a reason. And I don't need to be the property or taken by another guy in order for you to back off.
So true.
And I just, you said, what did you tell me? You love a person, but you hate people.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about men. In Mary Poppins and the suffragette movement, they were talking about, though we adore men individually, we agree that as a group they're rather stupid. And I'm not saying that to down men, but also how thick-headed do you have to be that you're gonna just push and push and push to get someone's number, to get someone to go out with you. And I understand that loneliness and giving it the old college try is great, but like Creeperville is not where you want to be. So I'm done.
Oh, you said something that I'm gonna take a tangent off of an old conversation we had.
Okay.
This was a couple years ago, and you were like, "Hey, what do you think about so and so?" I'm not saying a name on purpose.
I don't know who you're talking about yet.
Perfect. It's a girl. Like you're like it was kind of getting to, are you interested in her? And so I sat and I thought for a second, and I was like, she seems cool. I just have to get to know her more. And what broke my heart is your next statement was something along the lines of like you weren't expecting that answer, because most times when you ask a guy, what do you think about this girl? The answer is yes, I would sleep with her, or no, I would not.
Yes.
And my heart broke because I'm like, that should not be where our thoughts go first. Like, A, it's objective and it's treating them like an object. But B, it's like there is so much more to a person than that. And if that is the general response you get from most guys when you ask them about their thoughts about a girl, like we as society failed somewhere majorly if that is a guy's general response.
I'm not defending guys. Let me just put that out there before I say this. There is a point when you meet someone in the beginning, like there has to be some sort of attraction, but there is a difference between being attracted to someone and like I'm trying to censor my words. Like swipe left, they're unfuckable. Like beep. Sorry.
Yeah, like you like right, like by no means am I saying like we there like no attraction has to be at all possible. Like it's yes, in a relationship there has to be some form of attraction, but if our go-to response from your experience are being men that you have asked, who do you think of, or what do you think about person Y? If the general response you get is yes or no, I would sleep with them, and like again, we missed the boat. Like the something went wrong in our upbringing, in our culture, in our I don't know what, for us to go from treating a woman or a person as a person versus just an object. Like like we failed somewhere. Go for it. There's something.
I agree. I think I don't know. Straighten me out if I'm wrong, but men are lazy. I'm just going to say that as a blanket statement, and you can correct me later. Um, and I think that specifically as it relates to objectification, that the idea of like a guy sitting on the couch with his beer gut and Cheeto dust all over his white shirt, and he's watching the Miss America pageant, like, her nose is too big. Like, men are very judgmental, yet they will not give any effort. So, like, oh, well, she's a 4, but also, well, you're a 0, so shut up. Like, men are very judgmental of women's physical appearances, and most men are not willing to put any effort into their own. I'm not.
Again, all of this is very generalized.
Yes, it is.
I just wish we could be a society. So I'm going off of, I'm straying away from men and just going to society in general right now. But we as a society care too much about materialism, which goes in part with objectification and looks and stuff like that. Is there anything wrong with objects? Like, no, like an iPhone's nice, a computer is nice, a car is nice. But at what level are we elevating those things to? Are they a means to an end, or are they the end? Are they the goal? Like, I think there just has to be an overall prioritization of things that actually matter.
How do we do that? So if
Well, let me go through my 10-point plan. I don't know.
People say old habits die hard, and I think that is very true. That if you, whatever has been modeled for you or not modeled for you, good or bad, the way you saw your father or grandfather or people around you treat their wives, daughters, girlfriends. I have a relative who has a 5-year-old, and I love him to death, but he has learned some bad habits. And he is growing up believing that it's okay to hit people when you're angry. It's okay to punch your mom because she didn't do what you wanted. It's okay to take your anger out on people no matter the consequences. And part of me, my heart feels for him because he's a baby. He doesn't know any better. But then I'm looking into the future and seeing 18-year-old him beating up his girlfriend and treating women poorly. And at what point, if you're going to fix a problem, you have to start at the source. But how do we do that? You can't go into people's families and change
door by door with like a felt board being like, here is the correct way to live.
I get even in my own family, like my family's not perfect, and the habits and things that I had modeled for me growing up I can still say today there is not one marriage or relationship that I'm just like, yes, queen, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And how do we help guys not suck?
It does kind of go into like the one thing I'm hopeful for. So I'll kind of two-part answer. Um, the first thing is like we have to be the change individually. Like we can't expect this mythical substrate out in the ether to change men. Like it's going to take work and it's going to have to start somewhere. So if it's going to have to start somewhere, how about you be the somewhere it starts? So for me, it means okay, like I am a guy, which means like I guarantee you there are parts about me that do suck. Like I am not perfect. Um, and I want to get better and I want to grow and I want to get rid of the suckiness. I don't want to be stagnant and I don't want to fall backwards. Um, so on one hand, it has to just start with us wanting to be better and putting the effort in to be better. And hopefully that'll create a ripple effect. The other part, unless you, it looks like you had a thought. I
had a
can
question.
go for it.
So, I don't know how to say this. What if a guy doesn't know that he sucks? I mean, like, some guys are obviously jerks, but if a guy does not know that he's a jerk, I mean, if it's obvious to everyone but him, like, you can be the change you want to see in the world, but if you don't think you need changing, does that make sense?
Yes. Twofold. One, again, if we actually do start getting a handful of good guys out there who are willing to stick their neck out, like in like we don't want to be jerks about it, but in a loving way. Like if it's pulling a guy aside and talking with them, like being like, dude, like that wasn't okay. Like if we can actually start to hold each other accountable, start to raise the bar, I think that would help because it might at least give them a moment to sit and pause and go, oh, yeah, maybe that wasn't okay. So there's that aspect of it where we need to start in a hopefully good way calling each other out on it. But B, and this is kind of where it ties into like the hope. I feel like men in general, especially maybe my age, maybe I'm reading way too much into it, but like I don't think I'm alone in hungering for community. Like I want I want good people to be around, yes. And I'm actually finding that in dance. Like there are so many cool people in dance that I'm loving to hang out with and I'm loving to get to know. But on top of that, like there is another yearning in me to have a good group of guys to be with, to grow with, to challenge each other with. Like, and the hope I see is I feel like I do see more and more guys like they yearn for that. Maybe they don't flat out say that, but I do see a longing for camaraderie. And I think if we can start to foster good guy communities where we are growing, where we are holding each other accountable, where we are doing life together, I think that will also help be part of the catalyst to then go through the culture and help have it start in other places as well. So it's going to have, I think the only way to do it is you be the change. And then on top of that, find more people who want to change. And then at that point, let that continue to ripple through your communities and hopefully change the culture as a whole. And it's not going to happen overnight, but I think it needs to happen.
That makes sense.
So there's hope. It's just, I know we can be so much more. I know we can be so much better than what we are right now.
My goal for men is for girls to not be impressed when a guy is not mean to her.
Oh, that's so sad.
Like,
Right,
when she's just
right.
like, "Oh my goodness, he wasn't a jerk to me. He's the one." I'm like, yes, it's good that he treated you well, but that's not the norm. That's the he stands out because he's not a jerk. And when people say all the good ones are taken, uh,
They're not too far off from the truth.
you
But even the ones that are taken, are they all that good? The average ones are taken, but on a bell curve, those average ones are actually the exceptional ones, which is sad.
bell curve. Oh my god,
Nerd.
not a snappy quote. It's not short and sweet.
But yeah, that breaks my heart in and of itself. In that, oh my goodness, he wasn't terrible. Is enough for a girl to be like, maybe I should consider him. It's like, is that really the standard? That's kind of a question. Like to you, is that really the standard?
Yes. If a guy doesn't suck, he stands out.
That's sad.
And not in like the super chivalrous ways. Like he doesn't have to open doors or anything. I feel like if
He just doesn't have to look at your chest.
I mean, he does not uh, put you down, check out other girls while you're with him. You know, like I will say that's one thing that I do appreciate about my boyfriend, that we are not perfect, but he is unapologetic in standing up for people and calling guys out on shit. And um, there was a girl who was dancing with a guy at a past dance, and he uh, was a little rough and he hurt her. Um, and she danced the whole song, and she was like in tears afterwards. And Chris was like, "Are you okay? What's going on?" And she told him what happened, and he was like, "Is it okay if I go tell him? Like, I know that might be awkward for you, but he needs to know that he sucks, and you might not be in a position where you can tell him that, but I would like him to know because that's important, and I don't want him to hurt someone else." And to have that boldness to be like, "Hey, man, no, you probably didn't mean to, but you were dancing with this person and you hurt her." Like,
That's I need to do better at that. That's impressive.
it's hard.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that in Women's Suck. It's hard for women most of the time, I would say, to speak up for themselves. It's a lot easier to speak up for someone else than it is to speak up for you. And there are some situations that um, I don't want to say I need to have a guy around because I don't, but it does help to have a friend, male, female, whatever, with you to stand up with you because there are some awkward situations, and it's unfortunate that men put us in those situations.
Sorry.
But sometimes it helps to know that you're not alone in standing up for yourself.
Yeah, that someone's willing to go fight for you that has your back. And it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't even have to be a guy. Like it can be anyone. If you know someone else is in your corner, it helps validate you.
I'm gonna tell a quick story because she's amazing. So my friend, am I allowed to say her name? Adeline. She is amazing, and I went country dancing with her one night, and there was a guy who came up to me and sat next to me, you know, like, let me stretch my arm around you kind of close. And he asked for my number, and I was like, no thanks. And he was like, why? You got a boyfriend? And I was like, on one hand, I'm a strong, independent woman and I don't need a man. On the other hand, it'll make him go away faster if I say yes. So I was like, yeah, I do have a boyfriend. And then uh, he continued to ask me questions. And instead of writing him off, I fell for the bait. And I was like, yeah, I do have a boyfriend. And he asked if my boyfriend was white because he was a African American man. And I said yes. And so he launches into this tirade about sticking with your own kind and blah, 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 blah. I should not be dating a white boy. And there were some other guys who came up and were also talking to me. So I was surrounded by 3 brown men. Not that it matters, but my friend Adeline comes up and she inserted herself in the conversation and she said, it doesn't matter if he's green or whatever kind of color in the box of crayons. They love each other. And that's why she fell in love with him, not because of the color of his skin, but because he was a good guy. And so she saved me and pulled me onto the dance floor. But for her to step in that moment where I was overwhelmed, like, who are you to judge who I'm in a relationship with? And for her to say, they love each other, that's what matters. Peace out. She doesn't have to be a guy, but she stood up for me. And that also gave me more courage to be like, excuse you, go away. So that made me feel a lot better.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
Because this whole time, like the theme of this topic is guys suck. However, everything I feel like we're talking about can be applied to all people. Like it's not like, oh, women don't have to worry about this at all. It's more of like, I feel like women in general do a better job at this than men, but the character traits we're talking about and stuff like that, like this should apply to all humans. It's just as a guy, I want to hold guys to a higher standard because I feel like we are capable of and are able to rise to a higher standard than where we are right now. And I want better for us because I think that will help society in general. But everything can be said to just humans in general. Hence, like Adeline's legit, and
she's a boss, and I love her.
Yeah. And yeah, so it's not like, oh, the guys have to be the saviors. The guys have to be like the ones to come to the rescue. It's just more of them like, I want all of us to be like that, but I feel like in general, women might be better at it right now than what guys are. And I want us to be able to rise to the challenge.
Everyone deserves to be treated with honor and dignity and respect. And it does not matter your gender. If you cannot be a crap human and treat people well, like you want to be treated, it would make the world a lot better. Guys and girls would suck less. Anything to add?
I was more of looking at the time, and we're definitely past our attempted 30-minute talk, but that's okay.
We're just giving you a little extra. It's been a long time. We don't want to leave you guys hanging.
But yeah, so if you guys enjoyed it, reach out, let us know, and we can definitely circle back around because I'm sure we could talk more and more and more and have more examples and have more things to discuss. But with that, I think our next topic will be on the opposite side of the spectrum and be girls suck. We'll see how that goes. I feel like I have more to rag on guys about than girls, but I mean.
Oh, I got it. I got you. I got you.
I'll let Julia take charge, and if I feel like I can contribute, I will.
You rag on guys, I'll rag on girls. It's
perfect. But yeah, just to wrap up again, A, sorry that it took so long to create podcast number 2. B, take what we say with a grain of salt, as in it's very general and there are always exceptions and there are always caveats and stuff like that. We're just going with where we are personally and our feelings of frustration or hopelessness or wanting more out of guys this episode, girls next episode. If you do have any questions, if you do want anything clarified, feel free to reach out in person, online, whatever. Yeah, anything else you want to add?
I think that's it.
Well, thanks everyone. We will talk to you sooner than 4 months from now. We'll definitely have one out within a month. Thanks for listening.